Hi y'all. Today I'm gonna try something a little different. I have stumbled across a hunting game online on the PlayStation Store. It's simply called Hunt. Um, Hunt is a sandbox hunting simulator game where the goal is to hunt as many animals in 15 minutes flat. Your hunting gear includes a sniper rifle, a 9mm pistol, shotgun revolver, and a semi-automatic machine gun, depending on what platform that you purchase a copy for. I'll get into that later. Um, this game also offers different varieties of animals, or claims to offer a different variety of animals. I will also get into that later. Um, Pick the time to go hunting. If you hunt during the afternoon, beware of the bears wandering around, they will attack you. If you are hunting during the night, beware of wild attacking wolf packs. The animals you can hunt are randomly created in different sizes and colors, and your score is based on the kind of animal and its size and color. All of these I will get into in more descriptive ways later on. The publisher and the developer is Sabec Limited. It was released last month, July 23rd, 2020. So far, the only known platforms that I'm aware of are PlayStation 4 and Switch. I tried to look into Xbox compatibility or Xbox gameplay, and unfortunately, all the information on this game that I could find is very, very limited, other than my own experiences playing the game. So bear with me, this is going to be a little messy. I grew up I grew up playing hunting games a lot, so hunting games or hunting simulators are an increasingly favorable genre of game to play, at least in my eyes. I grew up playing games like Cabela's Big Game Hunter, and have since moved on to other games like The Hunter Call of the Wild. I do plan to look into Hunting Simulator 2 as well, and whenever I stumbled across Hunt, I automatically did not have very high expectations for such a small game. It is a very quick download. It reminded me of an arcade machine, a game from an arcade machine you'd find in a mall or a movie theater or something. It is a very simple game. There's only one goal. There's one set goal, and that is to kill as many animals within 15 minutes. It's so simple. I mean, it's an easy segue into more complicated hunting games. It is a very easy game for children to play. I would recommend it to children of all ages. It is very, very easy. It is offline multiplayer, so you can play with at least one other player on one console. There is no online capability. There is no real leaderboard settings, although it does offer a false leaderboard with fake names, fake scores. Top score being 5,000, which, in my eyes, I don't see how that is possible to beat unless you spend hours grinding 15-minute rounds into this game until you're actually, in a spot where you can kill fast. But that's where this game becomes a problem, and I will gladly explain. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. Why does this game look the way it does? This game is very reminiscent of a Roblox game built by an 8-year-old specifically for other 8-year-olds. That's one of the very first things that I had noticed. Secondly, the music, or lack thereof. The ambience is loud, I would say, louder than what it needs to be. It's like little to no mixing was taking place. The only music in-game that you get is the 2-chord orchestral intro music you get when you first load into the game, which is louder than it needs to be as well, much louder, on top of the ambience. It's just a very underwhelming start. It's a very underwhelming video game, I guess, where I'm so used to playing beefier games like Call of the Wild, and have been looking at games like Hunting Sim 2. My taste has just progressed past the point of enjoying smaller, unpolished, and possibly even unfinished games like Hunt. For a game that revolves around the concept of shooting as many animals as possible within 15 minutes, I think that the spawn rate of the animals is ridiculous. It is ridiculously low, ridiculously small. I think there is an overwhelmingly large amount of albino animals, which I find irresponsible because I understand that the scoring system is built around how many animals you kill, the size of the animal, the color of the animal, etc. Um, I think that it would give the player more incentive if the albino animals were reduced and the normal animals had become, or would become, more populated. If there were more normal-looking moose, if there were more normal-looking elk and deer, if there were more predators. I found it very, very hard to come into contact with predators, and if that's supposed to add challenge to your hunt, I don't see how, because there's very little to none. It warns you about bear, and it warns you about wolves, and there are none. There are seemingly none. I guess you literally have to hunt for your predators too, even though it tells you to steer clear of them. I suppose it does give you extra points when you do manage to find and kill them, but there's no incentive to that other than a boost of points. They're very hard to come by. I feel like the general population of the animals needs to be increased. The albinism in the animals needs to be decreased. I feel like the spawn rate of the predators needs to be increased. The spawn rate is just uneven to a T. I understand that. I think that's what they intended, because, of course, it's a hunting game. You have to find your prey, no matter how hard. But the speed of your character does not help you in terms of, your time limit and how many animals you can find. Your character is slow, there are no animals around, you have to hunt 4 minutes in between your animals just to find them, to get like 100 or 150 points at a time, all in 15 minutes. That just seems very unfair and very uneven, and I think that is a terrible gameplay mechanic. Honestly, the glitches are very minimal. I expected a lot worse from a game that looks the way it does. The rocks will sometimes hang off of the mountains and hills. They will sit next to each other in it, like almost like a straight line, but there will be nothing underneath them to support them. They kind of just hang there or float there. I did encounter many times the animals will kind of, how would I say it, merge into the ground. There have been many cases where I have tried to find animals or even tried to kill animals that were underneath the ground, only visible by their antlers and the top of their scalp, or sometimes their legs or their entire ass just sticking out somewhere. And even if a part of their body is still out of the ground, you can shoot them, it will not kill them. Even though the glitches were minimal, the ones that I did find were frustrating. So at least there aren't many bugs or glitches to be found in the game, unless you're extremely unlucky like me. I think one of the biggest problems that I have with this game is the map size versus map availability. And what I mean by that is, you can have a decent sized map, or even a huge map, but what is the point if you cannot travel the most throughout your map? What is the point of having a big map if you can't move through it? So, upon first glance, you will notice, you can look around, it looks like you have a lot of room to work with. That's not the case. No, the map size is not comparable to Call of the Wild maps, Hunting Sim 2 maps, not comparable in the slightest. However, given the size of this game, you have a decent amount of room, at least from what it looks like. However, the game borders are very closed in. You actually do not have a lot of room to work with. You don't have a lot of map to move around. That also being said, it is easy to get stuck moving in between mountains and dips. I wouldn't necessarily call that a glitch or anything, but I mean, how else are you supposed to get around those mountains if not through them, because the game barriers prevent you from moving? My hypothesis is that Hunt was originally supposed to be for the Switch only, but we're fortunate enough to port for the PlayStation 4. And you know what? I get that, and that's awesome. However, PlayStation 4 packs a bit more of a punch than the Switch, so I'm confused as to why the Switch gets the sniper and pistol, or the 9mm, the shotgun and the revolver, and the semi-automatic, not to mention they also get a more, by-the-hour decision of what time they would like to hunt, versus the PlayStation, whereas we get just the sniper rifle and just the semi-automatic rifle. To me, that would make no sense, but like I said, I understand that the game may have only been originally ported for the Switch only, which that's not a problem. But if you're going to port over to a console different than your original port, I would assume that, especially because the PlayStation 4 is stronger, you would bring all of its features with it. This game did come out in July, so maybe there's going to be a patch or an update available where all of the game modes or all of the gun options are available. However, at this time, the game on PlayStation 4 is extremely limited, and thus it makes it even more underwhelming and a lot more unfun to play. This one is a very small detail compared to the other problems that I have with this game. It's minute, you can overlook this. It is extremely unrealistic. Not that I expected realism from a game that looks the way it does. Everything is just very nondescript. I mean, the guns are vague. There's no, like, everything is polygonal. There's no texture to the game at all. Whether it's the grass, the fur, nothing. It just, that bothers me. I suppose that resonates from where I've played Call of the Wild for so long, or have been so used to like 4K, 60 textures and shadows and what have you. I'm used to better graphics, so when I come into this game and see this absolute graphical mess, I can't help but be let down or be disappointed. Like I said, that's a minute detail compared to the rest of the things, the myriad of problems that I have with this game. You can overlook that if you wish, but the unrealism is just harder on me, and it makes it harder for me to enjoy the game. In conclusion, I would have to give this game about a 2 out of 10 if I had to rate it. I think this game is boring and underwhelming. It's unfulfilling. We don't have all the game modes yet. I assume we'll be getting the rest of the game modes, or all of the weapons, I mean, later on in a patch, seeing as this is a very new port. The spawn rate needs to be fixed, especially with the albino animals and the normal animals. I think that the borders need to be moved or pushed back a little more so that you have more room to move around, so that you don't have to move through mountains and get stuck and have to restart. The ambience definitely needs to be mixed a little better. The music is too loud for, you know, what it's worth, the whole 3 seconds that it's there. There needs to be more music. Absolutely, there needs to be more music. Especially when there's not any animals that are calling to you, or any kind of, you know, warning call from animals that will tell you that they're nearby or something. There's very little glitches in this port, which, for a new port, that's pretty good. Other than that, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not a bad game, or I'm not going to sit here and say it's not a good game. I'm sure if I were playing it with other people, had I not been playing by myself, it would be a lot more enjoyable. There'd be more competition. There would be a reason to enjoy the game, or incentive to enjoy the game a lot more. All in all, I'm not a professional, I'm not a publisher, I'm not a developer. I'm just a man speaking his mind on the internet. That's what I think of Hunt by Sabic Limited. The game was $10 on the PlayStation. I'm not sure how much it is on the Switch. If it's something you'd be interested in, absolutely go for it. Try it out for yourself. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more stuff like this, I suppose. I'm going to start uploading more regularly, since I have a lot more time on my hands now. I'm going to begin streaming a lot more often on Twitch. Links will be in my description. If you enjoyed this video, let me know what you thought. Let me know how I can improve. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you later.